coats on contact, grinding through thin mechanical shells in seconds. All 3 rogue detailer drones are shredded before they can stack a single contamination buff. Bay 1, intake drop is yours, the shrouded exotics behind you are untouched. Strike blockade creeper at 72 meters and keep pressing the objective. You swing the dual-action polisher wide and open up on the nearest blockade creeper at 72 meters. Friction arrays scream across polished concrete, but the range is punishing. You score glancing contact, grinding one panel stack but not punching through cleanly. Your operator closes ground fast, boots squeaking on the waxed bay floor, pressing the objective line hard. Strike through the blockade creeper pack and hold Bay 1, intake drop. You drive MACK-OS ONE straight through the blockade creeper pack, dual-action polisher screaming, friction arrays chewing through stacked row blocking panels in 2 grinding passes. Both creepers collapse in a shower of sheared plating and sparks. The rogue detailer drone still orbits at 70 meters, throwing contamination buffs, but it's isolated now. Bay 1 is yours. Cut down rogue detailer drone at 65 meters and keep pressing the objective. You swap to the steam wand, mid-range, group clearing, better reach, and unleash a superheated mist burst at 65 meters. The rogue detailer drone's buffer coat strips in one pass, core housing ruptures, drone spirals into the LED rig and drops. Bay 1 is clear. 2 blockade creepers already scrap on the floor. The intake row is yours. Push hard to utility hose corridors and strike anything in the way. MACK-OS ONE drives hard out of Bay 1, steam wand still venting residual pressure as you cut through the supercar storage labyrinth. A pair of blockade creepers materialize from between shrouded hypercars, dragging panel stacks across your path. Your steam wand's mist broadside hammers them both sideways, panels clattering across polished concrete. Corridors clearing fast, utility hose corridors are closing in. Advance and strike everything in your path. MACK-OS ONE vaults over a shrouded Lamborghini hood and drives deeper into the corridor network. The 2 blockade creepers are slag behind you, chrome panels still skidding. Ahead, the air thickens with a greasy shimmer. A grease-slick sentinel has already begun coating the floor tiles in petroleum runoff, flanked by a roiling contamination swarm clustering near the duct junction. You torch the swarm with a sustained steam wand arc. Superheated mist flash neutralizes the cluster before it can split, and strafe wide of the slick to avoid the traction hit. Push hard to utility hose corridors and strike anything in the way. MACK-OS ONE drives hard northwest through slicked corridors, steam wand roaring. Superheated mist slams the grease-slick sentinel a dead-on at mid-range, boiling its oil reservoirs and seizing its pump housing. The sentinel shudders, vents black smoke, and goes dark. Utility hose corridors are close, 80 meters and closing. Avoid the grease-slick Sentinel B and secure utility hose corridors. You sidestep Sentinel B's oil slick spread, hugging the shrink-wrapped hypercar row to keep clear of the traction kill zone. The steam wand lays down a scalding mist wall across the corridor mouth at the utility hose corridors junction, boiling off residual grease and holding the line. Utility hose corridors is yours, contamination choke points neutralized, Sentinel B isolated and out of your path. Push hard to glass correction suites and strike anything in the way. MACK-OS ONE surges forward through the oil-slicked corridor, steam wand sweeping a scalding mist burst across the grease-slick Sentinel B's pump arrays. The unit seizes, chassis warping under superheated pressure, and drops cold. The blockade creepers are already offline. Clear path northeast toward the glass correction suites. You're eating distance fast, 117 meters out. Advance and strike everything in your path. You push hard toward the glass correction suites, 91 meters closes fast as your boots squeak across polished tile. A pair of rogue detailer drones flanks the approach corridor, spinning contamination buffers into the air ahead. Your steam wand sweeps a scalding mist arc across both before they can lock their buff cycles, delaying the swarm and clearing your lane. Strike rogue detailer drone B at 22 meters and keep pressing the objective. Your steam wand erupts in a scalding burst. Rogue detailer drone B takes the full mist stream at 22 meters, its contamination buffer stripped and core cracked, clattering dead against a glass correction bay wall. You push through the dissipating steam into the glass correction suites proper, and the Spawn Directive's main convoy rolls in. Two armored lockdown carts grinding chrome treads down the corridor, a blockade creeper stacking panels ahead, and a chemical fog disperser already venting haze across the suites. The objective is live, hold the line. Strike through the armored lockdown cart Alpha pack and hold glass correction suites. You sweep the steam wand in a wide superheated arc. The remaining rogue detailer drones are already scrap, so you redirect the mist stream straight into armored lockdown cart Alpha's exposed wheel housing and vent grates, stalling its advance and scorching the blockade creeper's panel array. The haze thins just enough for your inspection protocol to ping Alpha's undercarriage armor seams, marked for the polisher follow-up. Chemical fog disperser is still churning at 60 meters, keep your distance. Strike armored lockdown cart Alpha at 36 meters and push forward hard. Your steam wand is bone dry. You drop the secondary and close hard on Alpha, slamming the rotary backing pad into its cracked plating at point blank. The friction array grinds through its marked surface, shredding the last of its hull with a screech of stripped chrome. Alpha is down. Bravo and the blockade creeper are now right on top of you, and the chemical fog disperser continues to bleed visibility across the bay. Strike blockade creeper at 22 meters and keep pressing the objective. You pivot off the collapsed cart's wreckage and drive the rotary pad straight into the blockade creeper at 22 meters. The spinning disc shatters its stacked panel array in a burst of fractured composite, and the creeper folds hard against the glass wall, twitching. Armored lockdown cart Bravo is rolling in at bearing 20, its plating still fresh and full. You need the dual-action polisher to grind that shielding down before it can press the siege line. Chemical fog disperser is still active at 55 meters, bleeding vision across the suite. Strike armored lockdown cart Bravo at 24 meters and keep pressing the objective. Your dual-action polisher is bone dry, zero ammo, no friction arrays left to grind. You hot swap to the high-pressure steam wand and open up on armored lockdown cart Bravo at 24 meters. Superheated mist floods the cart's wheel wells and seams, scalding the surface plating and hammering its mobility. Bravo buckles under sustained mid-range pressure, hull scored and smoking. It won't be pushing that defense line much further. Strike armored lockdown cart Bravo at 22 meters and keep pressing the objective. Steam wands dry. You pivot to the dual-action polisher and drive a blistering friction array straight into Bravo's scorched plating at 22 meters. Sustained close contact grinding is exactly what Bravo's shielding hates. The remaining hull buckles and shears apart across the polished tile. The chemical fog disperser still hangs at 50 meters, bleeding obscurant into the correction suite air. It's next. Avoid the chemical fog disperser and secure glass correction suites. You pull back from the chemical fog disperser's 48-meter drift zone, letting the chrome walls of the correction suite guide your flanking line. Your dual-action polisher is bone dry. You swap to the high-pressure steam wand and sweep a superheated mist burst across the bay entrance, catching both inbound armored lockdown carts in a scalding wall that seizes their approach servos and buys the suites another breath. The siege line holds, barely. Strike through the armored lockdown cart a pack and hold glass correction suites. Steam wand's mag is bone dry. You slam the dual-action polisher online and drive a blistering friction array straight through lockdown cart A's plating. Sustained abrasion grinds its surface shielding to slag. The cart shudders, sparks, and folds against the mirror finish floor with a screech of peeling chrome. Cart B pivots to respond, but you're already repositioning, holding the suite threshold. Glass correction suites, still standing. Strike through the armored lockdown cart B pack and hold glass correction suites. Ammo dry on the polisher. You rack the steam wand and hammer armored lockdown cart B with superheated mist streams at close range, the pressurized blast scalding through its weakened plating and crumpling it to the mirror floor. The rogue detailer drones surge in tight, contamination buffs flickering across their chassis, while the blockade creeper pushes a row of panels toward your line. Cart B is down, but the suite is still hot. Strike through the rogue detailer drone A pack and hold glass correction suites. Steam wand is bone dry. You rack the dual-action polisher and carve into rogue detailer drone A with blistering friction arrays, stripping its buffer coat and grinding through its core. The drone spirals into a mirror panel and detonates in a shower of chrome. Drone B and the blockade creeper are still pushing, and that chemical fog disperser is choking your sightlines. Hold the suite. Strike through the rogue detailer drone B pack and hold glass correction suites. Your dual-action polisher is bone dry. You slam to the secondary and open up with the high-pressure steam wand, blasting rogue detailer drone B with a superheated mist burst that strips its contamination buffer and crumples the chassis against a chrome mirror panel. The blockade creeper is still stacking panels across your lane, and the armored lockdown carts are grinding closer down the fog-choked corridor. The chemical fog disperser is eating your accuracy window fast. Break away and take cover, pop Carnauba wax overspray, then re-engage from safety. You peel back behind a chrome partition as the Carnauba wax overspray detonates across the tile floor. A blinding sheet of hyper-slick hydrophobic wax coats the approach lane, and both armored lockdown carts immediately fishtail and lose purchase, their grinding treads spinning uselessly. The blockade creeper skids wide into a glass panel and the chemical fog disperser's chassis wobbles off its anchor point. You're behind cover at 29 HP, but the enemy convoy is locked in a 40% slowdown for the next 2 rounds. This is your window. Strike blockade creeper at 38 meters and push forward hard. Your steam wand is bone dry. You drop it and slam the rotary backing pad into the blockade creeper at 38 meters, exactly what it's built to handle. The spinning pad detonates its stacked panels in a cascade of shattered polycarbonate and the creeper careens hard into the wax-slicked tiles, chassis crumpled. With it down you surge forward 15 meters into the suite, boots barely finding grip on the Carnauba glazed floor. Break away and take cover, pop Carnauba wax overspray, then re-engage from safety. You brake hard left behind a mirrored partition, boots squealing on polished chrome tile, then you crack the Carnauba wax overspray canister and let it rip across the approach corridor. The hyper-slick coat spreads in a gleaming sheet, and the 2 armored lockdown carts immediately lose traction, their grinding chassis stuttering and slewing wide. The rogue detailer drone's movement priority tanks alongside them. The whole convoy is locked in chemical slow motion for 2 rounds. Strike chemical fog disperser at 38 meters and push forward hard. You swing out from behind the mirrored partition and level the high-pressure steam wand at the chemical fog disperser. Superheated mist streams hit the unit's vents dead on at 38 meters, punching through its fog generation housing and blowing it apart in a hiss of scalding vapor. The yellow chemical haze begins to thin immediately, restoring line of sight across the suite. You push forward hard, boots finding grip on the still waxed tiles as the 2 armored lockdown carts spin helplessly ahead. Break away and take cover, pop Carnauba wax overspray, then re-engage from safety. Your operator brakes hard left behind a polishing station, slapping down a Carnauba wax overspray canister. Glossy hydrophobic wax floods across 4 tile lanes in a glittering sheet. Both armored lockdown carts immediately lose traction, wheels spinning uselessly as their action priority craters for the next 2 rounds. The drones bank wide to avoid the slick, buying you a critical breath to reseat. Strike armored lockdown cart alpha at 40 meters and push forward hard. Your steam wand is dry. You drop it and slam the dual-action polisher into cart alpha at 40 meters, blistering friction arrays chewing through its disabled plating with 0 resistance. The cart's shell grinds apart in a cascade of shredded chrome panels. 2 rogue detailer drones bank hard and close in from the northeast, contamination buffs cycling. They're next. Wand is dry. You drop it and slam the dual-action polisher into cart alpha. Break away and take cover, pop Carnauba wax overspray, then re-engage from safety. Your operator vaults behind a chrome detail bench, boots skidding on the polished floor as the Carnauba wax overspray canister detonates across the tile grid. A shimmering hydrophobic sheet floods the aisle, cutting enemy approach vectors by 40%. The blockade creeper's treads lose grip instantly, the 2 rogue detailer drones banking wide to avoid the slick. You're breathing hard at 19 health, but you bought yourself 2 rounds of breathing room. Strike rogue detailer drone at 44 meters and push forward hard. Steam wand is bone dry. You pivot fast, slapping the dual-action polisher online. You lay into the nearest rogue detailer drone at 44 meters, blistering friction arrays chewing through its buffer coat and blowing its contamination core wide open. 1 drone down, you push hard toward the second cluster, closing the gap across the wax-slicked correction suite floor. Break away and take cover, pop Carnauba wax overspray, then re-engage from safety. You brake hard left, boots skidding across the polished correction suite floor, distant spot. You trigger the Carnauba wax overspray, and a fan of hydrophobic wax floods 6 meters of tile behind you, the hyper-slick coat catching the industrial lamps like a mirror. The active rogue detailer drone and blockade creeper hit the wax line immediately, both units stutter, servos whining, losing priority as their traction algorithms fail. Strike rogue detailer drone at 19 meters and push forward hard. Your dual-action polisher is bone dry, 0 rounds left, so you pivot to the high-pressure steam wand and unleash a scalding mist burst at the rogue detailer drone at 19 meters, stripping its contamination buffer and punching through its exposed core plating. The drone shrieks, sparks fly off its rotary arms, and it spirals into the wax-slicked tiles, dead. You push forward hard, closing ground toward the glass correction suite's centerline, the blockade creeper now grinding closer from the north. Strike blockade creeper at 38 meters and keep pressing the objective. Steam wand's bone dry, you ditch it and drive the rotary backing pad slam straight into the blockade creeper's panel stack at 38 meters, the spinning abrasive disc shattering its row blocking rig in a shower of cracked polycarbonate. The creeper buckles, shoves back against the corridor wall, and goes dark, panels obliterated, chassis crumpled. Suite corridor is clear, convoy contacts are silent. Paint suites holding. Push hard to lower vault exhibition floor and strike anything in the way. You're critically low, 15 health, but the paint suite is clear and the convoy is scrap. MACK-OS ONE holsters the rotary pad and breaks into a hard sprint northeast through the service corridor, trading the wax-slick tiles for the raw durasteel ramp descending toward the lower vault exhibition floor. The corridor is quiet, too quiet, distant hydraulic clanking echoing up from the pit below as BARONVOX spins up somewhere in the dark. Strike contamination swarm at 88 meters and push forward hard. You snap to the steam wand, mid-range, mist spread, exactly what the contamination swarm needs. A superheated burst fans across the cluster at 88 meters, scalding every tendril of the organic hazard simultaneously, the whole mass collapses into a steaming residue on the polished floor. With the lane clear, your operator hammers forward down the service ramp, closing hard on the lower vault threshold. Sweep lower vault exhibition floor for stragglers and lock it down. Steam wand is bone dry, you rack it and draw the dual action polisher. The exhibition floor is quiet, both contacts are cold. Your sweep confirms the lower vault is locked down, but Baronbox and Lacquer Prime haven't materialized yet. Inspection protocol pings 2 heavy mechanical signatures powering up somewhere beneath the polished concrete, and your sensor overlay lights up the floor seams around the central display plinth. They're coming up through the floor. Break away and take cover, pop Carnauba wax overspray, then re-engage from safety. You peel back behind a shrouded Pagani, slapping Carnauba wax overspray across the mirror finish concrete between you and BARONVOX. The tiles gleam hyper slick instantly, cutting the enforcer's advance to a grinding crawl. From cover you regroup, breathing hard, 15 health clinging by a thread. BARONVOX churns through the wax field at 40% speed, rotating polycarbonate shields whirring, buying you exactly the window you needed. Stay on the BARONVOX, the Concours Enforcer, strike it relentlessly and don't let up. Your steam wand runs dry, 0 mist left, so you drop it and slam the dual-action polisher into BARONVOX's shield panels at close range, friction arrays screaming against polycarbonate. The sustained blistering contact grinds through the outermost rotation layer, raw heat warping the chassis plating beneath. BARONVOX retaliates with a grinding ram sweep, barely 15 health left, you can't eat another hit like that. Break away and take cover, pop Carnauba wax overspray, then re-engage from safety. You break hard off BARONVOX's flank, boots skidding across the crimson strobed exhibition tiles as you dive behind a toppled display plinth, 10 health, no margin. Carnauba wax overspray detonates across the floor between you and the rig, a gleaming hydrophobic sheet floods the approach lane, Baronbox's treads immediately losing purchase and grinding uselessly on the hyper-slick surface. Its counterattack sequence stalls, 40% action penalty locked in for 2 full rounds, buying you the breath you need to reload the polisher and re-engage on your terms. Stay on the BARONVOX, the Concours Enforcer, strike it relentlessly and don't let up. MACK-OS ONE, you're at 10 health, but BARONVOX is spinning its treads helplessly on your wax overspray. Your dual-action polisher bites into the exposed undercarriage, friction arrays grinding the last shield panels to powder. BARONVOX shutters, servo banks seizing, a cascade failure tears through its blockade chassis and the rig goes dark in a shower of chrome shrapnel. Boss eliminated. Lacquer Prime is activating. Take a snack and health up. ACC here. MACK-OS ONE, you're at 6 HP with Lacquer Prime looming 28 meters out. That's not a vacation, that's a funeral. You duck behind a shattered BARONVOX hull panel, crack a ration pack from your kit pouch, and let your inspection systems run a passive diagnostic while the lacquer boss cycles its next recoat wave, buying you a critical recovery window before the real grind begins. Break away and take cover, pop Carnauba wax overspray, then re-engage from safety. You brake hard left behind a toppled display plinth, boots squealing on the mirror-waxed floor as you trigger the Carnauba wax overspray. A wide fan of hydrophobic lacquer hisses across the exhibition tiles between you and Lacquer Prime, coating a 15-meter kill corridor in frictionless gloss. The boss's chassis stutters mid-stride, paint-armored feet losing purchase, action priority cratering as the wax cures instantly under the crimson strobes. You're behind cover, health stabilizing, and Lacquer Prime is slow, windows open. Stay on the Lacquer Prime, strike it relentlessly and don't let up. You drive the dual-action polisher straight into Lacquer Prime's chassis, blistering friction arrays scream against its paint-armored plating, grinding through the outer lacquer coat in a shower of prismatic shards. It's a clean matchup, close-range armor grinder versus a self-recoating mechanical boss, and you're burning that advantage hard. Lacquer Prime staggers, its recoating nozzles misfiring as you deny it the breathing room to cure a fresh shield layer. Break away and take cover, pop Carnauba wax overspray, then re-engage from safety. You wrench the dual-action polisher back and break contact, boots skidding across the hyper-slick floor as you slam the Carnauba wax overspray canister down. A blinding hydrophobic sheen erupts across a 15-meter arc between you and Lacquer Prime, flash coating every tile in frictionless wax. Lacquer Prime lurches forward to pursue, hits the slick, and its armored chassis fishtails violently, shedding momentum and losing 40% action priority for the next 2 rounds. You've bought yourself a window, use it. Stay on the Lacquer Prime, strike it relentlessly and don't let up. You keep the dual-action polisher screaming against Lacquer Prime's buckling chassis, blistering friction arrays chew through the freshly curing lacquer coat before it can set, exposing raw structural plating beneath. The boss stutters and careens across the wax slick, unable to recenter its recoating cycle. Inspection protocol flickers live, armor value exposed, every layer stripped to the frame. Break away and take cover, pop Carnauba wax overspray, then re-engage from safety. You brake left across the exhibition floor, boots skidding on already waxed concrete as you slam the Carnauba wax overspray canister and flood a fresh corridor of tiles between you and Lacquer Prime. The boss lurches forward into the slick and its locomotion array stutters, priority sequence bottlenecked by 40%. You catch cover behind a low display plinth, ammo dry on the polisher, and switch to the high-pressure steam wand for the re-engage. Lacquer Prime's recoat cycle is ticking, move fast. Stay on the Lacquer Prime, strike it relentlessly and don't let up. You hold the line on Lacquer Prime, hammering superheated mist streams across its fractured paint-armored hull while it flails on the Carnauba wax slick. The marked weak points blister and peel under sustained mid-range pressure, raw chassis steel glowing where the last coat is burning away. Lacquer Prime telegraphs a recoat cycle, but the slick kills its footwork, buying you the window to keep pouring fire. It's hurting, badly, but so are you, and the contamination swarm is still creeping closer from the northeast. Break away and take cover, pop Carnauba wax overspray, then re-engage from safety. You brake left behind a display plinth, lungs burning, and trigger the Carnauba wax overspray across the approach lane. Tiles between you and Lacquer Prime go mirror slick in an instant, cutting its lurch to a crawl. The contamination swarm drifts closer on the flank, but the boss is skating helpless in the slick. Counterattack sequence stalled. 8 health. You are still in this. Stay on the Lacquer Prime, cut down it relentlessly and don't let up. You level the steam wand from behind the plinth and unleash both remaining charges. Twin superheated mist streams scald Lacquer Prime's recoating panels, the wax slick beneath it stripping purchase from its servos as it skids and screams. The contamination swarm drifts closer on your flank, but Lacquer Prime is your kill. You don't let up. Steam burns through a fresh lacquer layer mid-cure, raw damage punching straight into its chassis. Break away and take cover, pop Carnauba wax overspray, then re-engage from safety. You brake hard left behind a stone exhibit plinth, boots skating on the wax field as you slam down a fresh Carnauba wax overspray. Superheated mist depleted, you cycle off the steam wand and let the hydrophobic coat do the work. Lacquer Prime's chassis spinning helplessly across the newly drenched tiles while its recoat sequence stutters and fails. The boss hemorrhages lacquer panels, slick locked and exposed, eating a full 40% action priority cut for the next 2 rounds. You're alive by a thread, but the window is open. Stay on the Lacquer Prime, incinerate it relentlessly and don't let up. You're at 4 health, 1 wrong move and you're down, but Lacquer Prime is spinning helpless on the wax slick, marked, and your steam wand is the right tool right now. You sweep the high-pressure steam wand across its exposed underchassis in blistering superheated bursts, the mist searing through its recoat cycle before the lacquer can cure, stripping raw hull plating in screaming sheets. Lacquer Prime shudders, paint armor shearing away in blackened curls under the scarlet strobes. It's nearly done.